The same ad, the same bid, the same keyword. But depending on where it shows up on Amazon, it might convert at 15% or at 6%. Placement adjustments exist specifically so you can optimize your campaigns to account for that gap and get more out of every dollar you're spending on the platform. In this video, I'll show you how placement adjustments work across the three main ad locations on Amazon, what the performance differences actually look like between those locations, and some additional adjustment options, including audiences and B2B, that most people haven't even touched yet. When you set a bid in a campaign, that number is your base bid. Placement adjustments are a multiplier that Amazon applies on top of that bid depending on where your ad shows up. There are three locations: top of search, which is the top of the search results page, rest of search, which is everything below that, and product pages, which are the detail page of other products. Your campaign type doesn't actually limit which locations your ads appear in. A keyword targeting campaign, even though it's intended to show up in the search results when certain keywords are typed in, it doesn't actually only show in the search results. It also shows up on product pages. And a product targeting campaign doesn't only show up on product pages either. It also shows up in search results. Placement adjustments let you control your bids across all of these locations regardless of how the campaign is set up. The adjustment is a percentage increase on top of your base bid. You can go up to 900%. So if your bid is 50 cents and you set a 50% top of search adjustment, Amazon bids 75 cents whenever your ad is competing for a top of search placement. Unfortunately, Amazon hasn't added the ability to lower your bid for certain placements yet, even though that's a standard feature on a lot of other ad platforms like Google or Microsoft ads. You can find the setting for this by clicking into a campaign and going to the bid adjustment section. There you will see all the different options that we'll be talking about in this video. The reason top of search tends to outperform the other placements comes down to how shoppers actually behave. Some shoppers open Amazon, type in what they want, click one or two results, and buy. They're not comparing as much, they're not really researching, they're done in just a couple minutes. Those shoppers tend to only look at the ads at the top of the page. Clicks from shoppers further down the page tend to be in a different mode. They're clicking multiple listings, comparing prices, reading reviews. They may buy eventually, but they're taking a little bit longer to get there. The data reflects this pretty clearly. Now, top of search conversion rates typically run somewhere between 10 to 20%. Rest of search runs 3 to 8%. Product pages about 5 to 10%. Because of that gap, it's common to set a top of search adjustment to push your bids higher for when they show up in the top of search. The way to dial this in is to raise the adjustment until the ACoS or ROAS on top of search is roughly in line with your other placements. A word of caution though, when you use a large modifier, let's say 300% for top of search, you need to remember it's there every time you go into the campaign to make changes. A common situation is when someone sets a big top of search adjustment, they keep the base bids low to compensate for that, and then they later go in to adjust the bids without remembering that they have that modifier that's stacking up on top. The actual bid Amazon is using ends up being very different from what they think it is. A good way to stay on top of this is to include the adjustment in the campaign name. Something like the campaign name like you would normally have, but then you could add TOS for top of search plus 300%. It's always visible before you even touch anything. That helps you not forget where you have these bid adjustments. You can also apply a bid adjustment based on your audience seeing the ad. You can see these in the bid adjustment sections by clicking on audiences. There are three built-in audience segments. The first is high interest based on shopping history. These are shoppers whose recent activity on Amazon signals they're likely to buy something in your category. The second is clicked or added your products to cart. This is anyone who engaged with one of your products in the last 3 months but didn't purchase. The third is purchased your brand's products. Anyone who bought from your brand in the last 3 months. If you use Amazon Marketing Cloud, you can also build custom audiences there, and then once you do that, they'll show up as options in your campaigns. However, for each campaign, you can only apply an adjustment to one audience at a time. Keep in mind that adding an audience to a campaign does not restrict who sees your ad. Your campaign still runs normally to everyone. The audience section just adds a bid modifier for that particular group. And it adds the reporting so you can see how well that audience converts compared to others. That reporting is the reason why I recommend always just adding one audience to every campaign, even if you set the adjustment to 0. Actually, I don't think it will let you actually do 0, but you could do like 1%, for example. Without an audience added, you see nothing about how any specific segment performed. With one added, you can see how that group converts compared to the rest of the campaign. That's really useful information to have. Amazon says that campaigns that increased bids for the high likelihood segment saw a median 77% lift in ROAS across 1,700 campaigns. So I would say you might as well add that in there and see how it does. Now, if your product gets purchased by businesses sometimes, there's a separate adjustment specifically for Amazon business placements. The way it works, your campaign still runs to both regular customers and business customers, but when the shopper is on an Amazon business account, the system applies the higher bid. Same as the other placement adjustments, just scoped to business buyers. You can go up to 900% here as well. For products that get a significant volume of business purchases, there's also the option to create a whole different campaign that's exclusive to Amazon business shoppers. That's a different setup. An exclusive campaign won't show to regular customers at all. Everything about it can be built specifically for business buyers. So those are two distinct tools. The bid adjustment keeps your campaign running to everyone and bids more aggressively for business customers. The exclusive campaign doesn't show the ads to regular customers at all. One other thing to know, there's no inverse option. You can't create a campaign that shows only to regular customers but excludes Amazon business customers. That just doesn't exist yet. If your product is something businesses buy in bulk, office supplies, industrial products, anything in that category, it's worth testing one or both of those options. The last option is a bid adjustment for video placements. If you've set up videos for your sponsored product campaigns, you can apply a separate adjustment specifically for placements where that video shows. Same concept, it's just for that ad format. Now you know how to tell Amazon where to raise your bids in certain circumstances. But there's a layer underneath all of this that's worth understanding, and that's how the bid auction actually works behind the scenes. How Amazon decides when your ads show up, where it shows up, and why your competitors' ads sometimes beat yours even when you have the higher bid. I cover all of that in this video right here.